What a difference a year makes. Well, join me here today to find out whether in the world of whiskey that actually is the case. Hi there, my name's Lewis and welcome to the Neckpour. This is the whiskey review channel where I give you my thoughts and opinions on a particular bottle of whiskey from the Neckpour all the way down to the Dregs. Can you join me here today for a bottle battle between these two Hebridean beauties, Bruichladdich The Organic 2009 and 2010. It's my first ever sort of vertical or sequential tasting between two bottles of the same thing. This one, a bit more well known to me, familiar territory. If you look up there, there's the Neckpour that I filmed on Boxing Day. Whereas this one, been lent to me by a friend, knowing that I had this one already. So yeah, let's get these cracked open, pour ourselves a little dram of each, see if I'm even good enough to pick out the difference between the two, and if so, which one I prefer. So straight into this 2009, let's have a little listen. Pretty nice cork pop, and as you can see, it's well over halfway on this one, and it's had another year in glass. Got a nice little dram poured there. Get that one sealed back up. I'll have to make sure I keep them on their sides so I know which one remains which. And then the 2010, much less gone out of it. I've probably only had another dram, maybe two, since I did that Neckpour. And a very different tone on that cork pop. We're about even, I think. So both of these are the organics, both from Midcool Farm, both obviously unpeated, being a mainline Bruichladdich release, both 8 years old. This one is entirely bourbon barrels. This one is bourbon and Tennessee whiskey barrels. So very, very similar in terms of the cask play. As I said, both 8 years old, both 50%, both natural colour, both non-chill filtered. Two different vintages of barley, the 2008 and the 2009 vintage. And yeah, let's see if I can pick out a difference. Let's go straight in with this 09. Creamy, almost getting towards that creme fraiche or cream cheese. Lemons, maybe even like a preserved lemon. Heaps of cereal on the nose there. Let's go to this one. This is a bit darker on the nose. Again, the cereals come through the two of them. But that bright, sharp, yogurty, cream cheese, creme fraiche thing that's in this one is not there anywhere near as much. This is a bit saltier on the nose, a bit more sea air, I would say. And almost a kind of coffee note I'm getting tonight on that, but maybe it's the way the two are interplaying. But let's get a little bit of this on the palate. Oh, wow. That's like the classic laddie on steroids. That's big, that's punchy, and that's really strong right off the bat. Not in a bad way, but just, whoa. There's a little hint of youthfulness there. Like there's a little bit of that real kind of hot alcohol punch straight off the bat. But then there's lovely notes of a kind of, there's almost a slight herbal note to it. Like maybe oregano, something like that on the palate. Really weird. Lots of that kind of farmyard funk, and again, dollops and dollops of whipped cream. Really, really nice palate, actually. And that herbal note, it's not something I've ever had before on a Bruichladdich, and maybe some of those non-bourbon but whiskey casks, or maybe some of those bourbon casks with really high rye bourbons, is the only thing I can think of that's coming in there, as opposed to the grain, because I've never got that on another Bruichladdich before. And let's move on to this one in comparison. Much fruitier in comparison. Much more sort of estery, almost. I'm getting a lot of those foam bananas, giant straws, that kind of synthetic fruit on this. Peach rings could be any of those kind of things I'm getting on this side. And yeah, much sort of cleaner spirit, I think. A similar level of youthfulness to it. There is still a fair sort of kick of the alcohol in that. But much, again, darker, richer. I'm almost getting a kind of chocolatey, cocoa-y, coffee thing like I was getting on the nose coming through on the palate. Maybe even like a gatto kind of thing. But yeah, really, really different. And then moving on to the finish of both of these. On the finish, this goes through a lot more spice, leather, lots and lots of tannins. It's quite astringent, really makes the mouth water. And yeah, you're getting lots of that, yeah, kind of astringency. It really, really draws all that liquid from the back of your mouth straight forwards. Whereas that's much more rich coating. And strangely, whilst this is much more creamy at the front of the palate, it kind of ends quite dry. Whereas this, the longer it's in your mouth and as it finishes, gets kind of fattier and creamier. In a sense, super oily, like eating a slow-cooked fatty bit of meat. That way it kind of coats your whole mouth. And then, yeah, it goes through a lot of kind of darker berries, getting things like cherries, black currants, that kind of stuff. And then a little bit of a sort of peppercorn spice through the end. And yeah, wow. I'm really shocked. There is actually a huge difference between these two bottles, despite going through the same stills. I imagine a very similar distillation process. They've been aged in pretty much the same cask, been aged for the same amount of time. They grew on the same farms using the same organic methods. There is a huge, huge difference between these two. I was a little bit concerned going into the video. I was going to struggle to pick up a difference. But no, I really, really have been able to, and particularly on the nose. The difference is astounding. And yeah, a year really does make a difference. And then in an act of absolute serendipity, this video is going to come out on the 6th of February, which would mark a year from the day I uploaded my first video on this channel. So I thought, what a great way to celebrate it, doing a tasting of things that were a year apart. As I say, complete serendipity. I just happened to have this video and another video ready to film. This probably was what I was going to do because I need to get this bottle back to its real owner, as opposed to being with me, as it has been for a while. But yeah, it's just funny how these things work out. And I'd just like to say thank you, all of you, for a great first year. I thank you all so much for tuning in and watching all the time. It is really appreciated. And yeah, here's to hopefully many more. Cheers. But other than that, I'm back to the core crux of the matter here. I think this is a really hard one to call. This, I would argue, to most people is probably the better whiskey in the 2010. It's a bit more straight up and down. Anyone can see that's whiskey. It's got a nice Bruichladdich character, but it's, you know, a slightly farmy, unpeated whiskey. This, on the other hand, is a real oddity. It's bizarre. It's really intense. It's really powerful. And I think to me tonight, this 2009's got to be the winner of the battle. An absolute cracker of a dram. Shows all the weird wonderfulness that Bruichladdich can do. And long may it continue. I'd just like to say thank you all so much for tuning in and watching. It really does mean the world to me that you're willing to give up your time to listen to what I've got to say. If you've enjoyed the video, please do hit the like button down below. Drop me a comment if you've tried either of these or there's anything else that you want me to see. And if you really enjoyed the video, please do hit subscribe and that notification bell to inform next time I post. It really does mean the world to me. But other than that, until the next time, I'd just like to say cheers, Salancha, and I'll see you again.